Good morning. The Homewood Initiative is a three-way partnership between the Homewood Collaborative, the Open Homewood Campaign, and the residents of Homewood. And over the last 6 months, a lot has been happening in the world that severely impacted those residents. This article from the Washington Post about the black-white economic divide being as wide as it was in 1968. In that article is a survey of all Americans, and 76% of them said that systemic structural racism is important, it's valid, and we should do something about it. And that number was 24% back 10 years ago. You've seen this image in front of the White House. The same image now is on Fifth Avenue. Many companies are establishing Juneteenth as an official holiday. A recent article from the New Yorker that talks about how the pandemic has intensified the systemic economic racism against Black Americans. This article in The Economist about race and these same topics. This one from the New York Times about what companies are promising to do to fight racism. This one in the Post-Gazette by David Brooks that talks about reparations. We believe this campaign is a good example of reparations. And this article from the Pittsburgh Business Times about the $1 billion that PNC is investing to end systemic racism. This is my favorite. John Lewis, over his life, has said many times, the quote above him, "If not us, then who? And if not now, then when?" And that is our campaign's mantra. When COVID first appeared, we were concerned we'd have to pause the campaign. We found out the opposite. We need to move quickly to leverage this unique moment. We've talked to 15 key influencers across Pittsburgh. They're from Robert Morris University, Crevella Technologies, Bank of America, Allegheny Conference, Heffron Tillotson, the Elmhurst Group, Heinz Endowment, and the Pittsburgh Foundation, BNY Mellon, PNC, Pathways, and UPMC. And they said a number of very supportive things. There were patterns across what they all said. I've summarized them here. You've got everything covered. It's more comprehensive than anything I've seen before. It's systemic. It's not just programmatic. It's what's been missing from other Pittsburgh communities, and Mayor Padutle certainly understands this. There's growing public interest because of COVID and Black Lives Matter and calls for social justice. It's important to Pittsburgh's future because of all the disadvantaged communities that are in Pittsburgh that need this. It's exemplary. It's a role model for these other disadvantaged communities. And they're optimistic about our ability to raise the $12.5 million we're seeking. And several said probably we can raise more. So Scott Lemmy of UPMC was particularly supportive. And I asked him, can I quote you on those things? And he said yes. And here are his quotes. This is a great success story, bringing all these stakeholders together that's never been done before. It's the next level of community development. It's amazing. Everybody should embrace what you're doing. And count me in. I'll do anything I can to help you. Here's where all this started back in 2013, where myself and three other members of Westminster worked with the collaborative over a 5-month period. And we created the process that led to the community plan being approved this last year. When we started, the stakeholders, you see there, the politicians, the city agencies, the Homewood nonprofits, the residents, all on different pages. For all the reasons we'll talk about, that's changed. And now all those stakeholders are aligned. They're aligned around the future path of Homewood. Here's our campaign team. We met 43 times over 18 months, and our goal is to build the infrastructure that underlies the campaign. Here's the 5 areas of work: the leadership team, capacity building, developing the media, developing the projects and how they will be implemented, and fundraising. 10 people are on our leadership team. 5 of them are black, 5 of them are white. 3 of the black folks are collaborative members. Sam Ware is the co-chair of the collaborative. Also, Walter Lewis is. Frances Jordan is the executive director of Ministerium in Homewood. Chris Koch is a key member of our team because she's been in charge of building the infrastructure behind the scenes, and that involves social impact measurement, connecting that to the UN sustainable goals, how we develop projects as well as manage their implementation, the strategic plan that interconnects all of these. And a key thing is to develop not just the systems that these 5 infrastructure pieces reflect, but to build the trust among the black folks and white folks working together so that this can be an effective infrastructure. I initially invested $500,000 in the work that built this infrastructure. Half of that was invested in the collaborative. Now that's up to $700,000. In addition to that $700,000 of my initial investment, the work on the spreadsheet reflects more than $1.7 million of pro bono work. In April of 2019, this work led to the completion of the comprehensive community plan that lays out the strategy for guiding Homewood's development. In May, the collaborative was established as the registered community organization, and that means they're in charge of governing the development in Homewood on public land, and a great deal of Homewood is in public hands. Next was the strategic implementation plan that focuses on the metrics for implementing the strategy and the comprehensive community plan and connects those metrics to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. What's being developed now is the social equity roadmap that takes all this and focuses it on protecting the current residents who are the most vulnerable against the advances of development so that they can remain residents of Homewood. All this came together in April in this meeting in a church in Homewood, and Mayor Peduto was there, Councilman Burgess, Representative Gainey, City Planning, the 9 collaborative leaders, and 250 residents. And it's the first community meeting in Homewood that had a very positive response, because historically there's been a lot of quibbling over what direction will we go, and this meeting went extremely well. The context for this is a lot's already going on in Homewood. Here are 19 projects. The blue ones are funded by the city and the marketplace, the tan ones funded by the University of Pittsburgh, and the green ones by foundations. And the ones along the bottom are new projects being developed, but they're not ready to talk about. If you ask people in Homewood, especially their leaders, what do you want from the community? A vibrant economy, develop Homewood's human capital, Homewood is a cultural destination. There's pretty universal agreement with those 3 things. And all the projects will reduce crime in the system that creates it, strengthen education in that system, create jobs in the workforce development system, build businesses in that system, build and rehab homes, and all that will lead to a mixed income population. And that sounds great. The trouble is there's a brick wall between all of that progress and the current residents of Homewood. And that's the design of the campaign, to protect the most vulnerable. 45% of the adults in Homewood live in poverty, and 65% of the kids in Homewood do. So we want to protect them that will be left behind by all the progress on the left-hand side of the page, and to strengthen the leadership of the collaborative to manage all this activity as the registered community organization. And that will complete this circle. All that's reflected in the social equity roadmap. There's 16 parts of community development process. The top ones are the basics, blocking and tackling. The bottom ones are the softer things like transparency and trust. And what we're doing is synchronizing
all 16 of these through a process I learned when I worked at General Electric. And Jack Welch was probably the best known CEO of the 1980s and 90s when he established boundaryless management as the standard for managing a big company. I came to Pittsburgh to run corporate strategy for Gulf Oil. When Gulf left town because of being acquired by Chevron, I started my own consulting firm. We had 200 clients over 25 years, and those are logos of some of the ones you may know. When I retired from my consulting firm, I then worked with 12 churches in crisis in the Presbyterian. And of course, now we're doing this in Homewood. Never did I imagine what I learned in GE and 25 years of consulting would be valuable in Homewood. But in fact, it's the wrapper that surrounds all of the work we're doing. And that's what leads us to believe that we can create systemic solutions to concentrated poverty. The 9 elements I talked about start with the purpose of the campaign, projects to fill the needs, the development process for those projects, measuring social outcomes, doing that with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, protecting investment dollars, the social equity roadmap, and boundaryless management. And the key thing about that is it interconnects all of these, because if they're not interconnected, then each one loses its impact. Together, there's a lot of synergy, and we believe that leads to a very unique and high value investment opportunity, whether it's based on faith, based on social justice, or a dollar return, because all of those are available. When you compare those 9 blocks to other communities, often they don't measure social outcomes. They don't evaluate by the UN goals. They don't have a development process that cuts across all the nonprofits in the community. They don't have a disciplined process of protecting investor dollars. They don't have a robust social equity roadmap. They certainly don't have boundaryless management. That means they don't have a purpose for the campaign like we have here to interconnect all these. And that, of course, reduces the value of the investment into projects.
And here's a framework for the value of the investment. Here we're comparing several different types of investment, where the vertical axis is our view of the impact of that investment. Mentoring is investing in one person, and of course, for that person, good mentoring is incredibly effective and important. Another example is Bread for the World, that's investing in one issue across the U.S. Food Bank and Carnegie is an example of investing in one issue in one place. The YMCA in Homewood or the Homewood Children's Village is an example of investing in multiple issues in one place. Affordable housing in Homewood is an example of systemic solution to the root causes of that one issue. And we're seeking to do the most difficult, but we believe the most valuable, to develop systemic solution to the root causes of all the issues that we've talked about. And these are our aspirations, to do that hard thing that's the most valuable. That's why the mayor thinks of this as a national role model. And the core of this, we said many times, is the partnership between the Homewood Collaborative and the Hope in Homewood campaign. Here's the media we're using to publicize the campaign. There's the 3 community plans we talked about, the 2 brochures. The one on the right is for the projects. The one on the left is the overall campaign. There's 5 videos we produced, and all of those feed into the website that starts with a homepage. There's a section on why Homewood and why now, details about the campaign, the role of faith in the campaign, and news on all the social issues that surround us. So here's the last slide on the key messages of the campaign. Now is a unique moment for action. All the stakeholders are aligned. That's key to success because it's in the details. Recent investments in infrastructure, process, and capacity are underway, and market changes all around Homewood are coming to Homewood. And Pittsburgh must overcome its inequality. Disadvantaged communities have struggled for a long time. COVID-19 makes this much worse. Fortunately, it's now broadly understood Social unrest has focused many sectors of our economy and society on the need for solutions, and the level of inequality that currently exists in the region will hold back our growth. But we're set up for success. It's a top priority for the mayor and for Pittsburgh, and significant investment dollars are coming to Homewood. The support of top corporations, high level executives, and foundations will lend credibility and momentum to our cause. The Homewood Initiative is a silver platter. It's shovel ready. Many have said, I can invest now and get results very quickly. And people are eager to help. People want to make a difference, but they don't know how. We think the silver platter is the answer to that question. Many corporations have committed a lot of resources to address concentrated poverty in a meaningful way. And again, we think the silver platter is an opportunity for them to do just that. And when we succeed, others will follow. If we can do this in Homewood, we can do it anywhere. Many communities are in need if we prove the model in Homewood. And the church has an opportunity to return to its roots. It's declined dramatically over the last 70 years. It used to be a leader in social investment, but now has lost its way. And the Homewood Initiative is an opportunity for the church to return to its roots, our faith. Many of us would like to make a real difference in the world, especially in this new world of COVID, Black Lives Matter, and social justice. We believe this campaign is a unique opportunity to do just that. We hope you'll join us.